Are you ready to transform your life and finally start living up to your full potential? The one key that will unlock the door to the life of your dreams is assertiveness. That's right, assertiveness. The ability to confidently express your needs, wants, thoughts, and feelings while respecting the rights of others. If you've been settling, hiding, accommodating, and staying silent, listening closely to this audiobook will change everything for you. Maybe you're thinking, I'm just not an assertive person. I hate confrontation and rocking the boat. I'm here to tell you that anyone, and I mean anyone, can learn to be assertive. It's not about becoming aggressive or domineering. True assertiveness allows you to advocate for yourself firmly, but with empathy and respect for others, and the benefits are nothing short of life-changing. Imagine having the confidence to chase after that promotion at work, even if you've been passed over before. Picture yourself setting firm boundaries with that friend who always takes advantage of your kindness. Feel the freedom of being able to express your true opinions, even if they differ from the group's. Think about the fulfilling relationships you could have if you clearly communicated your needs and expectations. This is the power of assertiveness. But I know embracing assertiveness can feel challenging, especially if you've spent a lifetime biting your tongue and putting others' desires before your own. You might worry people will see you as bossy or selfish if you start speaking up. Maybe the thought of potential conflict makes your stomach churn with anxiety, or perhaps you've tried being assertive in the past only to be met with pushback and your confidence was shattered. I'm here to help you move past those fears and obstacles to unleash the assertive powerhouse within. Because here's the truth. Failing to be assertive is keeping you stuck and unfulfilled. When you bottle up your true feelings and needs, you breed resentment that poisons your relationships and self-esteem. When you agree to things you don't want to out of guilt or obligation, you end up depleted and frustrated. When you let others bulldoze your boundaries, you give away your power. Assertiveness, on the other hand, allows you to take control of your life and shape it in the image of your values and goals. It enables you to build honest, supportive relationships based on mutual respect. It reduces stress and improves self-worth as you validate your own thoughts and feelings. In short, assertiveness is the foundation of a life well lived, a life true to your authentic self. Now I know some of you may be thinking of assertiveness all wrong. It's not about being the loudest voice in the room. It doesn't require a brash, extroverted personality. Assertiveness also doesn't mean inflexibly digging your heels in and refusing to compromise. It's not an excuse to inconsiderately trample over others in single-minded pursuit of your desires. True assertiveness strikes a balance. It means knowing your worth and being willing to stand up for your legitimate needs. But it also means considering others' perspectives and seeking win-win solutions. Assertiveness is about honest, direct communication, not manipulation or aggression. It's a tool for creating understanding, not erecting walls. The most successfully assertive people have a strong sense of self. They know their values, needs, and boundaries. This self-awareness enables them to communicate clearly and consistently. Assertiveness is also rooted in a healthy self-esteem. When you truly value yourself, you believe your needs and opinions matter just as much as anyone else's. You have the courage to give voice to your inner world. Contrary to popular misconception, assertiveness and compassion are not mutually exclusive. In fact, the most effective assertiveness is built on empathy. When you can put yourself in the other person's shoes and truly listen to their perspective, you're much better equipped to assert yourself in a way that doesn't provoke defensiveness. You can collaborate to find solutions that meet both your needs. Some people shy away from assertiveness because they pride themselves on being agreeable and cooperative, but constantly defaulting to passivity isn't actually kind or generous to yourself or others. It breeds dysfunctional relationship dynamics and ultimately leads to breakdowns in communication and connection. Assertiveness, while not always comfortable in the moment, is truly the most caring approach in the long run. It allows for authentic dialogue and mutual understanding. If you still have reservations about assertiveness, consider the many proven benefits it offers. Assertive people report higher self-esteem and self-confidence. They're better at managing stress and less prone to anxiety or depression. Assertiveness is correlated with better interpersonal relationships, both personally and professionally. Assertive communication also improves problem solving and decreases aggression. In the workplace, assertive people are more likely to get their ideas heard and implemented. They're perceived as stronger leaders and are more likely to advance in their careers. Assertiveness enables you to delegate tasks, give constructive feedback, and champion deserved rewards like raises and promotions. It's an essential skill for professional success and satisfaction. In intimate relationships, assertiveness is the bedrock of healthy bonds. It allows you to get your needs met and reduces festering resentment. Assertiveness also helps you maintain your individuality within the relationship so you don't end up codependently enmeshed. By role modeling assertiveness, you also give your partner permission to do the same, fostering a dynamic of open and honest communication. As a parent, assertiveness is key for earning your children's respect and demonstrating healthy communication skills. Assertive parents set clear and consistent rules and follow through on consequences. They resist the urge to resort to ineffectively authoritarian or permissive approaches. Assertiveness strikes the sweet spot required for children to thrive, mendros delivered with respect and empathy. Even with all these benefits, I know assertiveness can still feel unnatural and intimidating, especially at first. The status quo, even if unfulfilling, can seem so much safer than rocking the boat with assertiveness. The discomfort of disappointing someone or engaging in conflict can seem overwhelming, and the deeply wired people-pleasing habits you've practiced for a lifetime can feel almost impossible to break. But I'm here to tell you the temporary discomfort of assertiveness is so worth the long-term benefits. Every time you bite your tongue, stuff down your feelings, agree to things you don't want to, or let someone stomp your boundaries, you chip away at your self-esteem, self-respect, and authenticity. You teach people they can take advantage of you. You breed resentment that eats away at your relationships and inner peace. When you commit to assertiveness, especially with the concrete tools and techniques I'll share in this audiobook, a whole new world opens up. Scary at first, but ultimately so liberating and empowering. You'll learn to relish the discomfort as a sign of growth and progress. The more you flex your assertiveness muscles, the stronger and more natural it will feel. I promise you this, minus on the other side of embracing assertiveness lies a life you won't recognize. A life where your confidence soars because you know you can handle anything. A life filled with invigorating, authentic relationships. A life where you spend your time and energy on your true priorities. A life where you bounce back resiliently from setbacks. A life where your needs and wants are valid and fulfilled. Assertiveness is your ticket to this fully expressed, fully alive existence. You have just one life to live. Why waste it trapped in passivity and self-denial? You matter. Your needs matter. Your voice matters. It's time to start acting like it by being unapologetically assertive. In the rest of this audiobook, I'll break down the nuts and bolts of assertiveness. We'll cover the essential pillars like self-awareness, self-confidence, direct communication, boundary setting, and emotional intelligence. You'll learn how to apply assertiveness in every domain of your life, From work to relationships to everyday encounters, we'll troubleshoot common challenges and limiting beliefs that threaten to derail your assertiveness efforts. And you'll walk away with a practical action plan to start putting assertiveness into practice immediately. Are you ready to unleash your assertive power? Are you willing to get uncomfortable and push back against a lifetime of conditioning? Can you commit to consistently choosing your authentic needs and desires, even in the face of resistance? If you answered yes, this transformational assertiveness journey is for you. Your most confident, fulfilled, assertive life awaits. Let's get started. Now that you understand the immense power of assertiveness to transform your life, let's dive into the 5 essential pillars that form the foundation of an assertive mindset and skill set. These 5 pillars are self-awareness, self-confidence, direct communication, boundary setting, and emotional intelligence. By mastering each of these interconnected elements, you'll be well on your way to assertive living. First up is the cornerstone of it all, mind's self-awareness. You can't possibly advocate for your needs, wants, and opinions if you don't know what they are. Developing a keen understanding of your inner landscape is crucial. This means getting crystal clear on your personal values, those guiding principles that define what matters most to you. It also means tuning in to your moment-to-moment thoughts, feelings, and desires. One powerful tool for boosting self-awareness is mindfulness. By adopting a curious, non-judgmental attitude and regularly checking in with yourself, you'll start to gain a clearer picture of your patterns and preferences. You might notice that you consistently feel resentful when you agree to certain requests. Or you might observe that particular situations tend to fluster you and make assertiveness challenging. Equipped with this self-knowledge, you can more confidently communicate your needs and make decisions that align with your authentic self. Self-awareness also means understanding your unique communication style and tendencies. Do you tend to skew passive, bottling up your true feelings? Or do you veer into aggressiveness, lashing out and bulldozing others? Maybe you resort to passive aggressiveness, expressing your needs indirectly through sarcasm or guilt trips. Knowing your default setting allows you to consciously course-correct toward assertiveness when needed. As you cultivate self-awareness, be on the lookout for sneaky assertiveness saboteurs like fear, people-pleasing tendencies, and limiting beliefs. These internal roadblocks can keep you stuck in passivity if left unchecked. By shining a light on them, you can start to catch yourself when they crop up and consciously choose an assertive approach instead. Remember, self-awareness is an ongoing, lifelong process. Stay curious and keep peeling back the layers of your inner onion. The second pillar, self-confidence, is what allows you to act on that hard-won self-awareness. Assertiveness requires a healthy sense of self-esteem, Moshe, a belief that your needs and opinions are every bit as valid and deserving as others. If you struggle with insecurity or imposter syndrome, asserting yourself can feel incredibly daunting. You might constantly second-guess yourself or assume others know better. Genuine self-confidence isn't about believing you're perfect or superior. Rather, it's a deep knowing that you're a fundamentally worthy human being, flaws and all. It's about trusting yourself to handle whatever consequences arise from asserting your truth. Self-doubt is normal and inevitable. The key is learning to act according to your values, even when you feel uncertain. One way to begin building self-confidence is to celebrate your strengths and successes, no matter how small. We're often quick to dismiss our positive qualities while dwelling on perceived shortcomings. Start intentionally collecting evidence of your competence, whether it's a compliment from a colleague or a goal you achieved. Creating an empowering evidence log can give you a boost when your confidence falters. Another potent confidence builder is power posing and intentional body language. By carrying yourself in a self-assured way, You signal to both your own brain and others that you're someone to be respected and reckoned with. Stand tall with your shoulders back and head high. Make eye contact and use a firm, clear voice. You'll be amazed how a few simple tweaks can make you feel more poised and powerful. Assertiveness also becomes easier when you learn to derive confidence from within rather than solely based on others' approval. Start validating your own perspective instead of constantly deferring to others' opinions. Pursuing activities that make you feel capable and setting manageable goals to work toward can boost your sense of self-efficacy. Remember, self-confidence is like a muscle. The more you practice flexing it, the stronger it becomes. With self-awareness and self-confidence firmly established, you're ready to tackle the third pillar, clear, direct communication. Assertiveness means expressing your thoughts and feelings honestly and unapologetically, while respecting others' rights to do the same. This straightforward approach can feel foreign if you're used to hinting, hedging, people-pleasing or bullying to get your needs met. One essential assertiveness skill is using I statements. This means framing things in terms of your own experience rather than attacking or blaming others. For example, instead of saying "you never listen to me," try "I feel unheard when I'm sharing something important to me." By focusing on your perspective, you reduce defensiveness and open the door for collaborative problem-solving. Assertive communication also means being as specific and concrete as possible, rather than making a vague request, like "I wish you'd help out more." Pinpoint the exact action you desire. "I would appreciate it if you loaded the dishwasher tonight." This clarity sets you up for success and minimizes misunderstandings. When delivering a difficult or emotionally charged message, it can help to rehearse ahead of time so anxiety doesn't cause you to dilute or convolute your point. Another aspect of assertive expression is learning to say no gracefully yet firmly when something doesn't align with your needs or values. This can trigger major anxiety for people pleasers and conflict avoiders. The key is to keep it simple and direct, without over-explaining or apologizing excessively. You're not doing anything wrong by declining an unwanted request. Saying no to things you don't want to do creates space to say yes to your true priorities. Assertive communication doesn't mean ruthlessly announcing your needs and walking away. It involves a give and take where you express yourself directly, listen openly to the other person's perspective, and then work to find a mutually beneficial solution. Stay compassionate and flexible. Make requests rather than demands. You approach from a spirit of collaboration, not coercion. The goal is understanding and resolution, not winning at all costs. This brings us to the fourth crucial pillar of assertiveness, setting and maintaining clear boundaries. Boundaries are the limits and rules you create to protect your physical, mental, and emotional well-being. They safeguard your time, space, energy, and values. When your boundaries are flimsy or non-existent, you end up constantly overextended, resentful, and unfulfilled. Identifying your personal boundaries is an extension of the self-awareness we discussed earlier. You need to get clear on what you can and cannot tolerate, what you are and are not willing to do. Start by tuning in to anger, anxiety, and resentment. These feelings often flare when a boundary is being violated. Make a list of your absolutes, your non-negotiables. These boundaries are the ones you'll defend most assertively. Of course, boundaries mean little if you don't enforce them consistently. This takes a willingness to risk disappointing or angering others, at least temporarily. It's natural to feel guilty or selfish when you first start standing up for your needs. But with practice, you'll come to see boundaries as a cornerstone of healthy relationships that benefit everyone involved. When asserting a boundary, be clear, calm, and firm. Avoid apologizing or wavering, which can invite pushback. Remember the broken record technique. Calmly repeat your boundary without getting derailed by arguments or guilt trips. If someone chronically violates your limits, you may need to set firmer consequences, like ending an interaction or changing the nature of the relationship. Consistency is key. Boundaries are meaningless if you only enforce them sometimes. Healthy boundaries don't just protect you from others' demands and intrusions, they also ensure you're living in alignment with your own values and needs. This might mean setting boundaries with yourself, like committing to self-care practices or limited social media time. Boundaries are a vital form of self-love and self-respect. They communicate to both yourself and others that your needs matter. The final pillar that fortifies assertiveness is emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence refers to your ability to recognize and regulate your own feelings, empathize with others' emotions, and use this awareness to guide your thinking and behavior. It's what enables you to assert yourself tactfully and effectively. Without it, assertiveness can come across as callous and aggressive. One key component of emotional intelligence is self-regulation, the ability to manage disruptive emotions and control your impulses. When you're triggered by a stressful interaction, your brain's threat response kicks in, flooding you with fight, flight, or freeze hormones. This can lead you to either lash out aggressively or shut down passively. Neither response is useful for assertiveness. That's why learning to pause and breathe before reacting is so vital. By creating even a tiny sliver of space between stimulus and response, you give your rational brain a chance to come back online and assess the situation more objectively. Strategies like deep breathing, counting to 10, or taking a quick walk can help you collect yourself so you can choose your assertive response intentionally. Navigating emotions assertively also means acknowledging and validating your feelings without being controlled by them. You might say, "I'm feeling really angry and hurt by what you just said." The key is to then follow up with a clear assertion, like, "And I need you to speak more respectfully if we're going to continue this conversation." Your feelings inform your assertive requests, but don't derail you into impulsivity or inaction. Emotional intelligence also requires developing empathy, the ability to understand and share in others' feelings. This might seem counterintuitive to assertiveness, but it's actually essential. When you can step into the other person's shoes and genuinely grasp their perspective, you can tailor your assertiveness to be most effective. Maybe the coworker who keeps interrupting you is feeling immense pressure about an upcoming deadline. Sensing their stress, you might be able to frame your request in a way that feels supportive rather than scolding. Ultimately, the sweet spot of assertiveness is where you're honoring your own emotions and needs while also considering others' realities. It's not about dismissing or catering to others' feelings, but rather holding them alongside your own as you communicate. When you lead with empathy, the other person is far more likely to reciprocate with openness and willingness to collaborate. Emotional intelligence is the key to asserting yourself in a way that strengthens rather than strains relationships. Mastering these 5 pillars takes commitment, courage, and lots of practice. Self-awareness, self-confidence, direct communication, boundary setting, and emotional intelligence are muscles you'll need to flex consistently to keep your assertiveness strong and supple. The effort is well worth it. My assertive approach, grounded in these principles, will transform every area of your life for the better. In the next section, we'll explore what assertiveness looks like in action in various real-world contexts. You'll learn practical strategies for applying the 5 pillars at work, in relationships, with family and friends, and in everyday interactions. We'll equip you with scripts and real-life examples so you can begin implementing assertive communication with confidence. By grounding your understanding in concrete applications, you'll be ready to start living more assertively right away. Get ready to radically up-level your relationships, career, and overall life satisfaction. A new era of empowerment and authenticity awaits. You've learned about the transformative power of assertiveness and its 5 foundational pillars. But what does assertiveness really look like in practice? How can you start applying these principles in your day-to-day life, where the rubber meets the road? In this section, we'll explore assertiveness in action across a variety of real-world contexts. You'll gain practical strategies and scripts for being assertive at work, in relationships, with friends and family, and in everyday interactions. By seeing these concepts come to life in relatable scenarios, you'll be empowered to start flexing your assertiveness muscles right away. Let's start with the arena where many of us struggle most to assert ourselves, the workplace. When your livelihood and professional reputation are on the line, speaking up for your needs and opinions can feel incredibly daunting. But failing to do so can lead to missed opportunities, unfair treatment, and soul-crushing resentment. Assertiveness is a crucial skill for career success and satisfaction. One common workplace scenario that calls for assertiveness is speaking up in meetings. Maybe you have an innovative idea, but are nervous about putting it forward. Or perhaps you disagree with the direction a project is heading, but don't want to seem combative. The key is to share your thoughts calmly, confidently, and concisely. You might say something like, "I've been thinking about our approach to this project, and I have an idea I'd like to propose. What if we tried?" By framing it as a suggestion rather than a demand, you make space for collaboration. If met with pushback, calmly restate your points with supporting evidence. Remember, your perspective is valuable and deserves to be heard. Another workplace situation that often necessitates assertiveness is asking for a raise or promotion. This can be particularly anxiety-provoking for those of us who struggle with self-advocacy. The antidote is preparation and practice. Compile a clear list of your accomplishments and the value you bring to the company. Rehearse your pitch out loud until it feels natural. Then, schedule a meeting with your supervisor and communicate your request directly. "I'm proud of the contributions I've made to our team, including X, Y, and Z. Given my performance and increased responsibilities, I'd like to discuss the possibility of a raise promotion." Anticipate potential questions or objections and have responses ready. Exude quiet confidence in your value, even if you're quaking inside. Assertiveness at work also involves setting boundaries around your time, energy, and job duties. If you're chronically overloaded or taking on tasks outside your role, it's time to speak up. Have a candid conversation with your boss about your concerns. "I want to make sure I'm delivering my best work and meeting expectations. However, I'm struggling to keep up with my current workload. Can we discuss strategies for prioritizing or delegating some of these projects?" Be prepared to offer solutions, but stand firm in your needs. If a coworker consistently dumps last-minute assignments on you, try saying, "I want to be a team player, but I have my own deadlines to meet. In the future, I'll need at least a week's notice to accommodate extra requests." By proactively communicating your boundaries, you prevent burnout and resentment. Of course, assertiveness isn't just for the office. Our closest relationships also thrive when both partners can express their needs and expectations openly. In romantic relationships, a lack of assertiveness can breed codependency, disconnection, and even abuse. Learning to be assertive with your partner is a cornerstone of healthy intimacy. One key domain for assertiveness in relationships is expressing your needs and desires. This vulnerability can feel scary, especially if you have a history of having your needs dismissed or ignored. However, Your partner isn't a mind reader. It's your responsibility to communicate what you want clearly and directly. That might sound like, "I feel most loved when we spend quality one-on-one time together. Can we start having a weekly date night?" Or, "I've been feeling sexually disconnected lately. Can we talk about ways to rekindle that spark?" Frame it as a collaborative discussion, not a list of demands. When your partner expresses their own needs, listen with openness and empathy. Assertiveness in relationships also means maintaining your individuality and independence. If you have a passion or goal your partner doesn't share, that's okay. Advocate for your right to pursue your interests. "I know you're not into hiking, but it's an important form of self-care for me. I'd like us to find a way for me to keep doing it that works for both of us." It's healthy to have some separate hobbies and friendships. If your partner objects or makes unreasonable demands on your time and energy, that's a red flag. Stand firm in your right to an identity outside the relationship. Sometimes, assertiveness in relationships means confronting behavior that feels hurtful or unacceptable. This might be anything from a sarcastic comment to a major betrayal. The key is to focus on your feelings and needs rather than attacking your partner's character. Use "I" statements to communicate the impact of their actions on you. For example, "When you made that joke about my job in front of our friends, I felt embarrassed and belittled. I need you to speak more respectfully about my work, even if you're just kidding around." Then, give them a chance to respond. Really listen to understand their perspective, even if you disagree with it. Look for ways to find a mutually agreeable solution moving forward. With friends and family, assertiveness helps forge more authentic, balanced connections. Your loved ones aren't always going to understand or agree with your choices. That's when advocating for yourself with kindness and conviction matters most. Setting boundaries around your time, space, and emotional energy is crucial for healthy family dynamics. Perhaps you have a parent who constantly critiques your parenting choices. You might say, "I know you're coming from a place of love, but when you question my parenting decisions, I feel judged and undermined. I need you to trust that I'm doing my best for my kids. If I want advice, I'll ask for it." Deliver it with compassion and be prepared to respectfully shift the conversation if they keep pushing. Maybe you have a friend who routinely cancels plans at the last minute. Assertively express how this affects you. "When you bail on our plans, I feel frustrated and devalued. My time is important too. If something comes up, please let me know as soon as possible. If this keeps happening, I'll have to assume our plans are tentative." Follow through with appropriate boundaries if the behavior continues. Assertiveness with loved ones also means being willing to have tough conversations when necessary. If you're truly worried about a family member's choices or well-being, speak up with care and tact. You might say, "I've noticed some concerning changes in your behavior lately. I'm bringing this up because I love you and want to support you. Can we talk about what's been going on?" Approach as a compassionate collaborator, not a lecturing savior. Remember, assertiveness doesn't guarantee others will react positively. Some friends or family may bristle at your newfound voice. Stand firm in your truth anyway. With time and consistency, many relationships recalibrate to a healthier dynamic. Those that don't may need to be released to prioritize your well-being. You can't control others' responses, only your own resolve to advocate for yourself. Beyond work, romance and family, daily life presents countless opportunities to practice assertiveness. From the grocery store clerk who undercharges you to the neighbor whose dog keeps digging up your garden, small moments of speaking up add up to a more empowered life. Assertiveness is like a superpower you can whip out anytime, anywhere. One arena rife for assertiveness: Practice is consumerism. If you're dissatisfied with a product or service, don't stew in silent resentment. Speak up. Contact the company and calmly explain the issue, focusing on facts rather than emotions. Propose a fair resolution, whether it's a refund, replacement or credit. You might say, "I purchased this blender last month, and it stopped working properly after just a few uses. I'd like you to send me a replacement or issue a full refund." If they try to lowball you or evade responsibility, restate your position clearly and escalate to a supervisor if necessary. Stand your ground while remaining professional. Another everyday situation that calls for assertiveness is deflecting unwanted sales pitches or solicitations. Whether it's a telemarketer or a pushy store employee, advocate for your right to make decisions in your own time. Try saying, "Thanks for the information, but I'm not interested. Please take me off your call list, or I prefer to browse on my own. If I need assistance, I'll let you know." Be firm and broken record your response if they persist. Assertiveness is also invaluable in social interactions and community involvement. If you disagree with a friend's political post on Facebook, chime in with your perspective respectfully. Focus on facts and your own experiences rather than labeling or shaming. You might say, "I hear your frustration with this issue, but my understanding is a bit different based on X, Y, and Z. I'm open to continuing the dialogue if you are." Role model that respectful disagreement and diversity of perspectives shouldn't be relationship ending. If you're passionate about a local cause, speak up at town halls and community meetings. Advocate for the changes you'd like to see with both conviction and tact. You might say, "I understand there are many competing priorities, but I believe investing in our local schools should be a top concern. Here's why. By making your voice heard, you contribute to shaping our shared world." An important caveat: assertiveness doesn't mean disregarding social context or others' reasonable needs. There may be times when staying silent or going with the flow is the most appropriate choice. Constantly asserting yourself in every minor situation can veer into selfishness or abrasiveness. The key is to pick your battles based on your values and goals. Save your assertiveness for the issues that matter most to your integrity and well-being. As you start applying assertiveness in real life, expect some awkwardness and resistance at first. That's totally normal. Like any new skill, assertive communication takes practice. There will be times when your timing is off, or your words come out clumsier than planned. Give yourself grace and keep experimenting anyway. The more you flex your assertiveness muscles, the more natural it will feel. One helpful technique is to have some all-purpose assertive phrases at the ready. Memorize a few lines you can draw on in a pinch, like, "I understand your perspective. Here's mine. Let me think about that and get back to you. I respect your view, but I see it differently," or "I'm not comfortable with that." Having a quick access script can boost your confidence in those tongue-tied moments. Another tip: start small and build up incrementally. If asserting yourself in high-stakes situations feels too daunting, begin with low-risk scenarios like expressing a menu preference at a restaurant or saying no to a salesperson. As you gain more positive experiences with assertiveness, you can work up to more challenging conversations. Think of it like weight training meanness. You don't start with the heaviest dumbbells on day one. Remember, assertiveness is a powerful form of self-care and community contribution. Every time you advocate for your needs, you model for others how to do the same. Each instance of respectful self-expression makes our collective social discourse a little healthier. As you get more comfortable being assertive, you may even find others seeking you out for support in finding their own voices. What a gift to pay your hard-earned wisdom forward. Of course, Increased assertiveness doesn't mean your life will transform into a frictionless utopia overnight. There will still be conflicts, misunderstandings, and moments of self-doubt. The key is that you'll be facing those challenges from a place of greater agency, groundedness, and relational health. Assertiveness equips you to navigate life's inevitable ups and downs with more resilience and less resentment. So keep showing up for yourself, one brave conversation at a time, whether it's requesting a raise, expressing a romantic need, setting a boundary with family, or returning a faulty product. Each act of assertiveness affirms your inherent worthiness. You matter. Your voice matters. Your needs matter. Asserting yourself is a radical declaration of self-love in action. In the next section, we'll explore some of the common mental and emotional roadblocks to assertiveness and how to overcome them. From silencing your inner critic to bouncing back from perceived failures, you'll gain tools to keep your assertive progress on track for the long haul. Buckle up, minus. We're headed to the next level of self-empowerment and authentic expression. You've learned about the power of assertiveness, its core pillars, and how to apply it in various real-world scenarios. But let's be real. Embracing assertiveness is rarely a smooth, linear journey. For most of us, it's a winding path laden with internal and external obstacles. Old habits, limiting beliefs, and societal conditioning can make authentically expressing ourselves feel daunting and unnatural. But with awareness, strategies, and a hefty dose of self-compassion, we can learn to face these barriers with resilience. In this section, we'll explore some of the most common challenges on the road to assertiveness and how to overcome them with grit and grace. First up, let's talk about fear. For many of us, the mere thought of being assertive triggers deep anxiety and dread. Maybe you fear conflict or disapproval. Perhaps you worry that speaking up will make others see you as too much or not enough. These fears often have deep roots in our histories. If asserting yourself in the past led to painful consequences like rejection, ridicule, or even abuse, your mind understandably wants to avoid revisiting that trauma. The antidote to fear is twofold: challenging the thoughts that fuel it and gradually exposing yourself to feared situations. Start by questioning the stories your anxiety is spinning. Is it really true that asserting yourself will end in catastrophe? What's the worst that could realistically happen? Mind, and could you handle it? Often our fears are based on overblown projections rather than likely realities. Then, start facing your assertiveness fears in small, manageable doses. If requesting a raise terrifies you, begin by advocating for your needs in lower-stakes scenarios, like expressing a meal preference. Gradually work up to more challenging situations, proving to your nervous system that assertiveness doesn't have to mean danger. With repetition, your brain will learn that it's safe to speak up. The anxiety may never vanish completely, but you'll develop the confidence to act in its presence. Closely related to fear is the ubiquitous inner critic. You know, that harsh internal voice that pipes up every time you consider being assertive. It says things like, "Who do you think you are? You're going to make a fool of yourself. Just keep quiet and don't rock the boat." That inner critic often echoes external messages we've internalized over the years from family, school, media, and society at large. To silence your inner critic, you must first recognize it as an overdramatic distortion rather than the voice of truth. One technique is to give it a silly name or image to diffuse its power. Meet Negative Nancy, the misguided worrywart who catastrophizes in a clown wig. When you notice it piping up with discouraging warnings, practice countering it with more realistic, compassionate self-talk. Try saying to yourself, "Hey there, Negative Nancy. I know you're trying to protect me, but your warnings are exaggerated. I'm capable of handling whatever response I get. Speaking up for myself is brave and important." Over time and with repetition, You can rewire your default self-talk from criticism to encouragement. Assertiveness becomes much easier when your inner voice is an ally instead of an adversary. Even with a reframed inner dialogue, the actual experience of being assertive can feel incredibly vulnerable. Expressing our authentic needs and opinions means risking verbal rejection or pushback. Our tender egos and hearts quiver at the prospect of having our truth dismissed or attacked. The emotional exposure of assertiveness can make us feel like a turtle without its shell, soft, unprotected, and acutely aware of potential threats. When your assertive efforts are met with negative reactions, it's crucial to have a resilience game plan. Start by reminding yourself that others' responses are more reflective of them than of you. Their defensiveness, dismissiveness, or lashing out says much more about their own insecurities and limitations than your worthiness. Practice detaching your sense of self from their approval or agreement. Grounding techniques can help soothe the sting of a challenging assertiveness encounter. Take a few deep breaths, feel your feet on the floor, and remind yourself of a few indisputable truths. I am safe. I am whole. My needs and feelings are valid regardless of how they're received. If you stumble over your words or later think of things you wished you'd said, resist the urge to marinate in self-recrimination. Assertiveness is an imperfect, messy art. What matters most is that you showed up and spoke your truth. It's also important to zoom out and cultivate perspective when an assertiveness attempt goes awry. In the moment, a dismissive remark or unpleasant encounter can feel like an earth-shattering catastrophe. But fast forward and ask yourself, will this matter in a week, a month, a year? Don't let one rocky interaction derail your resolve. Tomorrow is a new day to practice those assertiveness muscles again. Self-care is also essential for weathering assertiveness growing pains. Being verbally vulnerable is energetically and emotionally taxing, especially for those of us accustomed to silencing ourselves. Prioritizing rest and replenishment isn't selfish, it's a strategic necessity. Make time for activities that soothe and recharge you, whether that's a long walk in nature, a creative hobby, or quality time with supportive loved ones. Think of it like putting on your own oxygen mask so you can keep showing up to assertiveness training. Another common barrier to assertiveness is the pervasive myth that it means getting your way 100% of the time. This misunderstanding can make us resist being assertive for fear of seeming inflexible or alienating others. But in reality, healthy assertiveness is about stating your perspective and collaborating on win-win solutions, not stubbornly declaring my way or the highway. Aim for assertiveness that balances advocacy for your needs with consideration for others' realities. Share your truth while staying open to dialogue and compromise. You might say, I know you're swamped, but I'm drowning in this workload too. What if we brainstorm ways to streamline the project so it's more manageable for both of us? Assertiveness without empathy quickly devolves into aggression. On the flip side, watch out for assertiveness pitfalls like over-apologizing, hedging, or backpedaling. It's common to cushion our assertiveness with softening phrases like, I'm sorry, this is probably a bad idea, but, or never mind, it's not a big deal. While diplomatically is great, too much dilutes the power of your message. Aim to communicate your needs clearly and confidently without excess fillers. One helpful assertiveness formula is empathize, assert, propose, EA. First, acknowledge the other person's perspective. I know you're excited to plan an elaborate birthday party for Mom. Then assert your view. I'm feeling overwhelmed by the scale and expense, especially with everything else on my plate. Finally, propose a solution. What if we simplify the plan to focus on a few meaningful highlights? That way we can celebrate Mom without overtaxing ourselves. This structure ensures you're heard while still engaging collaboratively. Another sneaky saboteur of assertiveness is the faulty belief that it should feel easy and natural, and if it doesn't, you're doing it wrong. In reality, assertiveness can feel clumsy and contrived at first, especially if you're used to defaulting to passivity or aggression. That discomfort doesn't mean you're off track. Minders, it means you're rewiring entrenched patterns. Like any new skill, assertive communication takes patience and practice. Think about the first time you tried a new sport, instrument, or creative pursuit. Chances are, your initial attempts felt awkward and inept. But with repetition and persistence, the movements eventually became second nature. Assertiveness is no different. The more you flex those muscles, the more innate it will feel over time. Don't let initial clumsiness deter you, minders. Keep showing up and stumbling forward. In fact, each assertiveness failure is actually a success in disguise. Every time you speak up for yourself and it doesn't go smoothly, you're still reinforcing the crucial lesson that your voice matters. You're proving to yourself that you can survive the discomfort of being verbally vulnerable. You're gathering valuable data about what works and what doesn't in different scenarios. Assertiveness is an endless growth experiment. Minders, embrace the lessons in every misstep. As you practice assertiveness more consistently, you may find ingrained relationship dynamics start to shift. If you've historically been the quiet, accommodating one, others may be taken aback by your newfound voice. Some may even resist or criticize your assertions in an attempt to restore the status quo. This is when staying anchored in your why becomes paramount. Regularly reconnect with your deepest motivations for pursuing assertiveness. Is it to have more authentic relationships? To spend your precious time and energy in alignment with your values? To role model healthy communication for your children? When your assertiveness resolve wavers, revisiting your core reasons can rekindle your commitment. Change is hard, but continuing to abandon yourself is harder. It's also vital to surround yourself with influences that reinforce your assertiveness journey. Build a support system of people who celebrate your self-advocacy and mirror assertive communication themselves. Set boundaries with those who repeatedly dismiss or punish your assertiveness. Curate a media diet of books, podcasts, and role models that normalize speaking up and validate your experiences. Your environment profoundly shapes your behaviors. Create one that nourishes your growth. Finally, approach assertiveness as a daily practice rather than a singular destination. You're unlearning a lifetime of conditioning and building a powerful new mindset. That's no overnight transformation. Assertiveness is ultimately a declaration of radical self-love in action. It's choosing yourself and your truth, moment by moment, even when it's uncomfortable. Some days will feel easier than others, and that's okay. What matters is recommitting to your voice, again and again. Celebrate the small victories along the way, whether it's mustering the courage to say no to an invitation you don't want, or expressing a controversial opinion to a friend. Notice how being assertive, even imperfectly, lightens the resentment and heaviness you used to carry. Savor the moments of positive feedback and deepened intimacy your authenticity sparks. Assertiveness is a gift not only to yourself, but to everyone in your orbit. When you speak your truth, you invite others to do the same. So keep showing up, dear one. Keep feeling the fear and discovering you can survive it. Keep questioning the inner critic and asserting your worth anyway. Keep bouncing back from the messy attempts and mining them for wisdom. With persistence and self-compassion, assertiveness will gradually become your default mode. And from that place of grounded, consistent self-advocacy, a whole new world of possibilities blossoms. In the final section, we'll integrate everything you've learned into a personalized assertiveness action plan. You'll assess your starting point, clarify your why, and pinpoint specific strategies to weave assertiveness into your daily life. With practical frameworks and regular practice, you'll be well on your way to a more empowered, authentic existence. The assertive life of your dreams is truly within reach. Let's bring it to life, one bold and loving choice at a time. Wow, what a journey we've been on together. You now have a rich understanding of what assertiveness is, why it matters, and how to embody it in your day-to-day life. You've explored the core pillars that support authentic self-expression, self-awareness, self-confidence, direct communication, emotional intelligence, and firm boundaries. You've envisioned what assertiveness looks like in action across contexts, from the workplace to intimate relationships to everyday encounters. And importantly, you've begun to dismantle the internal barriers that can make asserting yourself feel so daunting, like fear, self-doubt, and resistance to change. That's a truly impressive assertiveness foundation, and you should be proud of your growth thus far. But as with any new skill, the real magic happens when you move from understanding to application. It's time to translate your assertiveness knowledge into an actionable blueprint for your most empowered life. In this final section, we'll integrate everything you've learned into a personalized assertiveness action plan. You'll get crystal clear on your why, assess your starting point, and develop a practical roadmap to make assertiveness your default mode. Let's dive in and design your most confident, authentic life together. First and foremost, let's reconnect with your deepest motivations for cultivating assertiveness. Change is challenging, and anchoring into your why will keep you inspired when the going gets tough. So take a moment to really feel into it. Why do you want to be more assertive? Is it to experience more fulfilling relationships built on mutual respect and understanding? To courageously pursue your dreams and desires without apology? To liberate yourself from the exhaustion and resentment of people-pleasing? To stand up for yourself and others in the face of injustice? To role model radical self-love and healthy communication for your children? Whatever your unique combination of reasons, take some time to write them down in vivid detail. Paint a picture of the life you're saying yes to by embracing assertiveness. How will it look, feel, sound? Maybe you envision confidently articulating your ideas in a meeting and watching them come to life. Perhaps you picture having vulnerable conversations with your partner that deepen your intimacy. Imagine the satisfaction of stating your needs without guilt or excessive explanation. Savor the peace of mind that comes from spending your precious time and energy in true alignment with your values. Really let yourself marinate in the juiciness of the assertive life that awaits you. Once you've connected deeply with your why, it's time to get radically honest about your assertiveness starting point. You can't create a roadmap if you don't know where you're beginning. Take an unflinching inventory of your current communication patterns, boundary firmness, and self-advocacy habits. Notice the contexts where assertiveness feels most natural and the situations where you tend to struggle. What are your unique assertiveness, strengths, and growing edges? You might ask yourself questions like, how comfortable do I feel expressing my true needs and opinions, even if they rock the boat? How often do I say yes when I really mean no out of fear or obligation? When was the last time I gave myself permission to prioritize my own desires? How frequently do I bottle up my feelings only to explode later? How do I typically respond to criticism or pushback against my ideas? The goal here isn't to judge yourself harshly, but to cultivate loving awareness of your common assertiveness stumbling blocks. To jumpstart your self-assessment, try tracking your communication in real time for a few days. Carry a small notebook and jot down brief notes after significant interactions, whether it's a one-on-one meeting with your boss or a heart-to-heart with your best friend? What did you express or hold back? How did you feel before, during, and after the conversation? What would you do differently if you could rewind and infuse 10% more assertiveness into the moment? Zooming in on the micro moments of your days will illuminate valuable patterns and opportunities for growth. As you reflect on your assertiveness starting point, it's also important to consider the systemic and cultural factors that have shaped your self-expression. We don't develop our communication habits in a vacuum. They're profoundly influenced by our identities, experiences, and social conditioning. Marginalized folks face very real risks and double standards when it comes to asserting themselves, from being labeled an angry black woman to having their physical safety threatened. Recognizing how your various privileges and oppressions impact your assertiveness journey is crucial for cultivating self-compassion and identifying strategies that work for your unique social location. Once you've gotten clear on both your why and your current assertiveness reality, it's time to start bridging the gap with small, consistent actions. Assertiveness, like any skill, is a practice must you build the muscle gradually through repetition, not overnight. The key is to chunk it down into manageable micro-moves and to celebrate each courageous step, no matter how messy or imperfect. One powerful way to begin flexing your assertiveness muscles is to set mini communication challenges for yourself each day. These might be things like asking a clarifying question in a meeting when you're unsure about something, rather than staying silent and confused, or expressing a preference, no matter how small, instead of deferring to others' choices, or saying, "Let me think about it and get back to you," in response to a request, rather than reflexively saying yes. The more you practice asserting yourself in low-risk ways, the more empowered you'll feel to speak up in higher-stakes scenarios. Another crucial element of your assertiveness action plan is identifying your support squad. Embarking on any growth journey is infinitely easier when you're surrounded by cheerleaders and accountability buddies. Think about the people in your life who already embody assertiveness mayus, the ones who confidently express their needs while staying open to dialogue, who uplifts your voice and validates your feelings, who offers compassionate encouragement when you're wrestling with self-doubt. Reach out to these folks and let them know you're working on being more assertive. Invite them to celebrate your small victories and process your learning moments, a reframe for failures with you. Maybe even recruit an assertiveness accountability partner who's working towards similar goals. On the flip side, it's also important to recognize when certain relationships or environments are draining your assertiveness reserves. Are there people in your life who habitually steamroll or guilt-trip you when you set a boundary? Or contexts where your assertive communication is chronically dismissed or even penalized? While you can't always remove yourself from these situations entirely, strategizing how to mindfully limit your exposure can help you conserve energy for your growth. Assertiveness requires ongoing replenishment, and curating an environment that nourishes your progress is key. As you begin implementing your assertiveness action plan, remember to approach the process with equal parts determination and self-compassion. You're unlearning decades of conditioning and stepping into a powerful new way of being. It's not going to be seamless or linear. There will be moments when your courage wobbles and your words get tangled. You'll have vulnerable conversations that leave you feeling shaky and raw. Some attempts at being assertive will go smoothly, while others will be messy and uncomfortable. All of it is okay and expected. What matters most is that you keep choosing yourself and your truth. Again and again. In those moments when assertiveness feels hard and your commitment wavers, return to the vivid image of the life you're creating with each brave act of self-advocacy. Reconnect with that fire in your belly that knows you're worthy of being seen, heard, and respected. Remind yourself that your needs, preferences and opinions are inherently valid, regardless of how they're received by others. You're not being too much or too sensitive by asserting yourself. You're being beautifully and unapologetically human. It can also be helpful to zoom out and take the long view when you're in the assertiveness trenches. Embracing authentic communication is a lifelong, non-linear journey. You're not going to nail it overnight, and that's perfectly okay. Each messy, imperfect attempt at being assertive is moving you forward and expanding your capacity. You're rewiring your brain and nervous system to know that it's safe to take up space. Celebrate the small victories and learn from the fumbles, trusting that each repetition is strengthening your assertiveness muscles. A month from now, you'll be amazed at how much more natural it feels to advocate for yourself. A year from now, you'll hardly recognize the person you used to be. As you continue on your assertiveness path, aim to strike a balance between pushing your growing edge and respecting your current bandwidth. Some moments will call for bold acts of self-assertion, like ending a toxic relationship or campaigning for systemic change. Other times, your courageous act might be giving yourself permission to lay low and replenish your reserves. Genuine assertiveness is ultimately about honoring your authentic needs, and sometimes that need is for rest, reflection, and integration. Trust your inner wisdom to discern when to leap and when to pause. To keep your assertiveness action plan feeling fun and creative, try experimenting with playful exercises and role plays. Grab a friend and take turns practicing tricky conversations, like asking for a raise or confronting a hurtful behavior. Write yourself a permission slip to say no to an obligation you've been dreading. Craft a mantra menu of empowering phrases you can draw on in a pinch, like "I matter" or "My needs are valid." Turn your shower into an assertiveness laboratory, reciting an upcoming speech or boundary-setting conversation out loud. The more you bring a spirit of curiosity and experimentation to your growth, the more spacious and sustainable it will feel. As your assertiveness journey unfolds, don't be surprised if your relationships and life circumstances begin to shift in both subtle and dramatic ways. Claiming your voice and standing firmly in your truth is a potent catalyst for transformation. Some people may fall away as you learn to advocate for your needs and desires. Let them go with love, knowing that your authenticity is clearing space for truer alignments. Other connections will blossom and deepen as you practice vulnerability and direct communication. Savor the sweetness of being cherished for your full, unfiltered self. Your professional path, too, may morph in unexpected ways as you grow more assertive. You might find yourself pursuing opportunities you previously talked yourself out of, or setting firmer boundaries around your time and energy. Old dreams that felt impossible may start to shimmer with new possibility as you claim your right to want what you want. Trust the wisdom of your inner compass and let your yeses be full-bodied and clear. The world is hungry for your unique magic, and assertiveness is the key to unleashing it fully. As we move toward the end of our journey together, I want to acknowledge the immense courage it takes to repattern your communication and claim your innate worthiness. Assertiveness is an act of profound self-love and a stand for a more just, compassionate world. Each time you advocate for your needs with clarity and care, you model for others what's possible when we use our voices for good. Each awkward, earnest attempt at being more authentic lights the way for someone else's becoming. Your brave reclamation of your true self doesn't happen in a vacuum. It creates ripples of change that you may never even see. So keep showing up, dear one. Keep reaching for words that feel resonant and real, even when your voice shakes. Keep noticing the moments when resentment and contraction start to build, and choose courageous honesty instead. Keep celebrating the big, bold acts of self-advocacy and the quiet, subtle ones. Most of all, Keep anchoring into the unshakable truth that your needs matter, your feelings are valid, your voice is necessary. The world is a brighter, braver place each time you choose to be unapologetically you. As we close this chapter of your assertiveness journey, I invite you to take a moment to thank and acknowledge yourself for your dedication to growth. Learning to show up more authentically in your life and relationships is no small feat. And your willingness to engage with this material is a testament to your strength and wisdom. Please know that the progress you've made is just the beginning. You'll continue to deepen your assertiveness muscles over the weeks, months, and years to come. Change is rarely a straight line, and it's absolutely okay if your path forward contains twists, turns, and switchbacks. What matters is that you keep choosing courage over comfort, wholeness over hiding. If you forget everything else from our time together, please let this truth take root in your bones. Your voice matters, and your needs are worthy of being spoken and met. You are not too much or not enough. My news, you are gloriously, imperfectly, utterly human. Your boundaries are not an inconvenience. They are sacred self-preservation. Your authentic expression is not a burden, but a gift to yourself and others. Assertiveness isn't about getting it perfect or hustling for external validation. It's about honoring your inner truth and trusting your inherent worthiness, moment by moment. And in those inevitable times when assertiveness feels hard, when your assertive action plan gathers dust, when you're tempted to abandon yourself in the name of keeping the peace, come back to this gentle reminder as often as you need to, even if you have to tattoo it on your skin. You are so very worthy of taking up space, of speaking your needs, of asking for more, of rocking the boat, of honoring your yes and your no. Your voice is an instrument only you can play. Your desires are a sacred road sign pointing you to your fullest life. Your courageous truth-telling has the power to heal, connect, and set you free. So please, keep practicing, keep stumbling, and trying again. Keep cultivating a relationship with your inner wisdom. Keep reaching for resonance over perfection. The world needs your full, unapologetic, assertive presence more than ever. As you continue on this brave, messy, liberating path of authentic self-expression, know that I am cheering you on every step of the way. I can't wait to witness the extraordinary places your assertive voice will take you. Your most powerful life is just beginning.